Game of the day, folks, between Weibo and BLG. BLG starting not with Shun in the jungle, but with Wei. So a jungle change for them. Same roster for Weibo on the other side. Now, you would be very much forgiven for thinking that BLG would just blast this series out of the water. They have not looked fantastic recently, and Weibo are Weibo. So
who knows?
There is everything up in the air of that to go through to draft.
Worth noting, of course, Wei was subbed in after a Game 1 loss from Shun last series and has stayed and won that series. He's starting today, so he's not just there in the background. He is absolutely an active participant. Bans are coming on through. Ashe says Wani away from Wei on Weibo's side. Some of those really big pick options. It's the Rumble, it's the Lucian. Of course, Xiaohu, one of the most famous proponents of that Lucian, arguably the guy who debuted it, in fact, I think on a professional stage in mid lane at the very least.
In terms of like Lucian and solo lanes, there are two players that spring to mind first: Xiaohu and Khan. Those two players like destroyed
Huni, back in the day.
various eras of it. Yeah, a lot of players come to mind, but those two for me. So Weibo, they snap up the Renekton first pick. I think Breathe versus Bin is a huge matchup here, folks, because Breathe has been playing for lane dominance, and he has been so good at this Renekton that he has justified the first pick. Now, on the other side, wouldn't surprise me to see Bin maybe go for something like a cannon, something that can just dunk down on the laning phase. I think whoever wins this top lane laning phase is going to give extra angles into team fights and potentially be a game-winning factor.
And with the three most famous mid lane AD carries out of the way, Yone is a pretty easy lock for Knight. I'll note the Zeri is still available. Yone can absolutely be a bit scary for some of those AD carries once he gets that all-in potential. Wei debating the Zyra, and we'll get a hold of that too. The champion still obviously very, very strong. We've got a Renekton. Tarzan's a big Nidalee player. Okay, lock in a TF as well. That's a lot of point-and-click CC for Nidalee to break apart an individual target.
And maybe Weibo have been watching a little bit of how D plus Kira have been playing in LCK. They pulled out the TF mid recently too. I believe that was alongside the Nidalee, but it's the really good ability to hard force and keep pushing the tempo of the game forwards. This top side is very, very snowball and has a lot of tools to keep going early. Need to see whether it's AD or AP.
Hell, we even saw Razork last night make value out of the Nidalee after a first pick Renekton from Fnatic to win against G2 in a Game 5, which was huge deal. So it does feel like that combo is starting to come back again after a little while away.
That wasn't with the TF, I don't believe.
No, it was with the Renekton.
Okay, right.
So, Renekton.
Yeah.
So
okay,
well, is where I was going with that specifically. Okay, to clarify
with
again.
the first pick Renekton, Bin has now answered with that Gnar and that individual top lane matchup, and that Gnar can do well versus that Renekton. If you are a top tier Gnar versus Renekton player, you can get huge value out of it. But if you fall behind that Renekton, it goes to crap really, really easily. So now Weibo, they have a target put on this mini Gnar's back. BLG will need to be covering that well. I'm wondering what's going to happen with bot lane matchup, because if you have a support which can roam from BLG to that top side play, that can maybe stymie some of this top side aggression from Weibo.
That will be some of the plan at least, but Zyra clears pretty damn fast. Maybe we'll have to be forced to support top lane, because obviously Renekton plus Nidalee is a combo you don't want to play into in a 1v1. Gnar is solid enough on a weak side, but is certainly still punishable, so we'll need to be careful nonetheless. The bot lane bans coming out now on both sides. Misfortune, the Braum, both very, very strong. Senna away from Elk, a way to kind of support that top lane, and is one of our better Senna players. I do feel like a lot of our, ironically, aggressive AD carry players are also quite good Senna players, interestingly. Leona as well, a ban that has been very, very common, and a very strong pick in general.
Regards to the Senna, like aggressive AD carry. It's weird how that champion has changed over time to be more aggressive, because I think people have this shadow of the old Senna Tom Kench, much in the same way that, you know, TF was always that AP mid laner with the Messiah AP one-shot card potential. Now he's an AD carry. That's a change to that kind of things too. You know what hasn't changed? Ezreal. Ezreal's not really changed. He builds different items, but that champion is all over the place. Was surprised to not see that locked in for Elk. I feel like now Light snaps that up very easily to allow for a weak side pick for Weibo, but maybe BLG were worried about getting Kalista and Arthur if they locked in that Ezreal. So BLG choosing to lock in the Nautilus instead, so it gives them a bit more flexibility in laning phase after.
You can still get Kalista and Arthur. Nautilus hates it's not great fun for him, because Renata ult means you start messing with your own friends. It's certainly a combo that has been pretty good answer to that for a while. Rel for Crisp wouldn't be a surprise, and Light on the Kai'Sa. Whoever gets hit with that initial bit of CC between the Nidalee and the Kai'Sa is going to have a very unfun time this game.
So, yep, that is going to be a hell of a lot of CC for the side of Weibo. Now that Ezreal is being hovered over, technically a self-counter pick in the AD carry matchup, but it's not
unplayable.
It's not unplayable. You can absolutely get value. You just need to limit the amount of opportunities for Kai'Sa to get you in an individual 1v1. I would be surprised to not see that. It's going to be the Jhin instead. As much as we talk about the Ezreal, which I thought would be, because it has been a first rotation for some teams, it's the Jhin last pick for Elk. And I think the reason for that, because I was having a chat with some people the other day, just yesterday, saying that I don't think Jhin is really a pro champion. He kind of sucks whenever I see him pro. And I do understand that, because there are so many games where Jhin is wailing on an Ornn or a Sejuani and does a fat load of nothing. In this game, when you have the Yone for setup, you have the Zyra plants, which can proc the Jhin. By the way, Season 6 was Jhin Zyra bot lane domination. The follow-up you can get, and then the lack of tanks on the side of Weibo make this champion situationally excellent damage if you get ahead of the game, and also great utility with the rest of the team. Very, very safe in that laning phase, and doesn't give that individual lane 1v1 option to that Kai'Sa where the Ezreal might have done. So I don't mind the Jhin pick here.
And I think eyes will have to be on side lane collapses this game. A TF on one side, a Renekton on the other, the Kai'Sa in the mid lane roaming with the Nidalee, the Jhin trying to respond with a curtain call from the other side. Whoever gets to move out of mid lane more freely to one of those side lanes, particularly in that mid game, once we do start having our split pushes, so to speak, unlocked, I think could get very interesting to follow, and make no mistake about it.
So we are all in Ascension today in the upper echelons of the LPL. Weibo versus BLG start us off. Later on, we'll have Top Esports and NIP closing out our day with our second series as we load into our first game of the day. Weibo coming in stronger than people would have thought from groups. A lot stronger than people would have done from groups. BLG on the other side, maybe taking a bit of a stumble.
Took them a while to get back to form, perhaps, for Weibo, but we have got our LPL Spring Champions versus the erstwhile World Finalists in Weibo here. Everyone's on form, everyone's playing, there are caveats and spicy drafts galore. Let's get onto the Rifts. Absolute chaos in the stadium there. That volume is pretty unbelievable. There's so much work there to bring a bit of hype. Both of these fan bases very passionate, very excited to see a matchup like this, especially considering the form that people have started to come through on the side on the side of Weibo, but BLG on the other side perhaps not as imperious as they have been, set particularly back in spring.
And I'm very pleased to announce that not everyone who has taken the precision tree has taken Absorb Life. Thank you, Elk. Took Presence of Mind instead. There are only 4 Absorb Lives for our laning phases here in these early lanes. And people wonder why Sustain was removed from the lane. I can't believe we removed Ravenous Hunter. We brought back a rune that's just as bad. Samina rune. It's happened again. But Weibo going to start off with Nidalee on that red buff, giving a strong leash from Light and Crisp. If Tarzan can get a good early path to leverage off of what could be very strong lanes, in particularly that Renekton, then that should be a factor which Weibo should be really looking to leverage.
Breathe walked in to put a ward down by Krugs very early on, so they just pinged out that Zyra's on it right now. I'll be interested to see whether Tarzan decides he wants to fight the Zyra in the jungle. Potentially do that, or just look to say, I'm happy knowing which way she's going and I can impact this top lane knowing Zyra's moving away from that Gnar.
Yeah, so Zyra will be pathing towards that top side, likely, and BLG do have defensive ward on the bot side. You see that? Bin doing a really good job. The Hop giving the extra attack speed. Breathe already knows there's a ward in there, hops into the wrong brush. And Breathe, someone we've praised. We've given him the Renekton pass. Really, really eating bad trades here in the first few levels, which is really important.
Here we go. Going for that all in on the bot line as Elk forced to flash cleanse away, turn around with a deadly flourish, but here comes Tarzan. Level 3 gank down bot lane, on in danger. Another auto will come on through, donates first blood over to Light. Pounce on forwards, Elk chunk low, won't be able to get the kill down there, but that is a huge gank from Tarzan.
So, we thought that Tarzan might be going towards topside, but he does the 3-camp clear into a gank bot lane, immediately gets a kill over to Light on the Kai'Sa. Now, the problem is now, Bin sees the fact that Breathe is not getting jungle attention, and he'd been winning the early trades. Breathe maybe missed the memo a little bit in regards to what was happening with that jungle pathing, and now he has been put into a bit of a dumpster here in topside by Bin.
Bit of that. I wonder whether he was fighting to get that wave under the turret with the initial plan being to go topside, but that looking unlikely. Tarzan changed plans and got things in a bit of an interesting position. Hex flashes out from the grasping roots to turn things around.
And so, BLG, they might be able to leverage something through this top side now, because that bot lane gank did happen. It has also seen that Tarzan falls behind in farm. He's been doing this a lot recently, even on farming champions. He just wants to get into lanes early. Now, when he doesn't get into those lanes, obviously there isn't that much value from it. In this one, he does get a bunch of summoners, gets himself a kill as well, so that is value for him. But now if we go, as soon as we come out of this replay, check what the jungle farm is on the other side. You see that Wei's already a couple of camps up, getting towards his Fated Ashes on this first recall, and that's going to now be a big problem here for Tarzan.
A little bit, and it will delay some of the camp respawns. And Italy could go back and start reverse clearing, effectively by clearing up the Raptors and the Krugs in a second or two. Obviously forced to do that, having cleared up this Scuttle Crab. Will likely go down and maybe fight for the Krugs instead, actually, knowing that's a respawn off the camps. Wei on the reset will be here with Fated Ashes, so that would be a bit bold. We'll put down a ward, maybe a Javelin toss can steal things away. So Chris goes crashing on down onto On, but had the aftershock running did On, so gets chunked out, but it's a much more valuable chunk on the AD carry on the other side. Wei, with all of his plants used on the Krugs, is in danger here. The movement speed means he stays on the other side of the plant. Wei forced to flash away. Tarzan with a pounce and a takedown, and a final auto gets the kill. Minion autos might kill him anyway, but he's got a primal surge. He gets out alive.
Tarzan goes into the enemy jungle and he makes it his own. Doesn't matter if you sub in this new jungle, it's the same fate. Wei goes down in that matchup, and the Nidalee is very far ahead of where they could be in this early game now. If you are playing the Nidalee, you need to make stuff happen early. This is exactly what you need to see out of Tarzan. He gets himself that trap, which immediately procs the mark, gets the spear on target too, and Wei is just completely left in the dust. He uses abilities, and this is one of the issues of the Zyra. You clear very fast, but whenever you are clearing a jungle, you have to ask yourself, okay, what should I save if a fight comes through? Maybe should have saved that route. He gets back into onto those Raptors now, keeps up that farm going forwards, but in some ways the damage is kind of done, as in a way he's going to keep himself up in farm, but Tarzan has got himself his early gold lead. He has got that early jungle information, which means that his lanes can play with a lot more safety.
Does feel that one of those key litmus tests for the Nidalee is that ability to get into the enemy jungle and start being a menace as early as possible. That is definitely top tier menacing. Gets to invade on the Raptors again. As a Nidalee, really, you need to consider the enemy Raptors and Krugs your own. That's the way it has to be.
It's like top tier menacing. You know, like in, so I'm not actually a huge fan of the show, but you know, in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, you have like the letters floating in the air. That does in fact mean menacing. I think Tarzan has a few of them. He has some calligraphy flying around him right now, Sam.
He does. I think it's quite large, aggressive looking letters as well. Picks up a single grub here as well, but now knowing that Wei is likely on the bot side on the dragon saying, none of that, I want to fight you again. I'm coming right on over with my own Faded Ashes, and I've already got a kill to my name, so you're going to suffer on this one. As Chris will face check, grasping roots come on down, but Weibo dissuades the dragon start from BLG. Tarzan pounces back over the wall.
Don't know who really wins from this though, because it's not like Weibo's pulling BLG away from lanes that heavily. It's not really benefiting top lane, because what has happened with Tarzan focusing so heavily on bot lane and then jungle is that Breed hasn't got the Nidalee to the Renekton Nidalee combo, which means that this is just an isolated Gnar versus Renekton 1v1. Funnily enough, something is Chris goes from ult in.
Taking low, the ignite coming on down. He's actually in danger here. He could be in danger. Force shot not quite enough, and light will come on down just to a 20% HP total, if that. But support dead, and Weibo Gaming in this bot lane are coming alive. Light, a player who has been perhaps a little quiet, is taking it to Elkin on early on with Chris.
The first gank sets Weibo's bot lane up for success. We have said in the past that Elkin on have not done well when the jungler is not in their lane. I don't even think this is necessarily a Wei problem, because it was a 3-camp clear. You don't see that very often right now. Wei is now going to go over toward these grubs rather, Tarzan.
Wei in danger, but there's a Stranglethorn and almost waiting, but Tarzan in a deadly position. Knight follows up with a Fate Seal. Now Xiaohu in danger. Gold card will get him out to safety with a bit of that fleet footwork speed, but a little bit overeager there from Tarzan.
I don't think Tarzan expected 3 people over that wall. If he'd managed to find himself a pocket, we can find 2 people with the gold card into the spear, then you get that kill, but it's a little overbold. We have seen that sometimes coming through from Tarzan. Tarzan has been very much the player to get into skirmishes and fights rather than look for the farm recently. And I think BLG, after finally getting Tarzan off the board, might just be able to pull back ahead in some key matches, particularly that jungle one. You can see it's gone back to even in gold, and Wei might just be able to get himself a sigh of relief there. Breathe, dodges out on that, and he's safe.
Rolls the dice and comes up 9. 369 not in the game, but I'll still make those puns considering Renekton, in fact, has an ability which has dice in it, guys. And the puns make themselves, you know? Tarzan back over towards these grubs. Claimed one earlier, but will be a little delayed in getting more. We'll still manage to get this one down. Should be able to get a few of those to the name. No one's managed to start up that early dragon until just now, and Wei will likely secure that. This is the Hextech Dragon, which is Zyra's arch nemesis when it comes to securing these, because the chain lightning kills the plants.
You just saw that there, that even though he was trying to redirect the dragon aggro, ends up killing 2 plants instead because the chain lightning is really annoying, but still enough damage. Wei is going to get himself, with that kill, off the next back, he'll get himself towards that Leandries. And that's the point when I think Zyra starts taking over the matchup, because while you don't beat the Nidalee in the 1v1, you do impact the game in a far higher rate. This is now the 3rd Raptor camp I think Wei has taken away as well, so he's not been cowed by the early pressure coming in from Tarzan. Tarzan, he's been done well in terms of getting himself off the ground and getting this bot lane off the ground. This needs to lead to something more though, because the problem is top lane hasn't been blown out. Renekton's now going to be playing from even, not from ahead, which is a problem for Renekton. Mid lane's fine and bot lane is ahead, but you need to make sure there is some continued acceleration. They're continuing to go down towards bot lane again, but there's enough wards this time for BLG's bot lane to stay safe.
And so many Jhin traps as well. That's one of the underrated things about Jhin and bot lane, is your ability to dissuade jungle ganks per certain point by just putting the equivalent of Teemo shrooms down to prevent easy access into a lane.
Yeah, that I find it kind of sad that it's not that's not the Deadly Flourish, the E.
They used to be called that, didn't they?
They changed the names because now it's the Deadly Flourish to the W, which I get because the animation, but also the captive audience should be the thing which sees you like that. I feel that has been a bit of a misnaming opportunity here in terms of that one, but hey, you'll know what we're talking about, I guess, because I just say Jhin W, Ginny instead.
Yeah, exactly that. Either way. Deadly Flourish and Captive Audience, perhaps the wrong way round. I know there was some debate about which way round they would go internally, but there you go. The decision was made. I still like yelling Deadly Flourish in a fight. It's cool. So I'm fine with that. On that level, at the very least, as Tarzan will clear up that wolf camp and maybe look finally towards his top lane, because he's on the top side of the map.
This game has evolved in a very different way to the way I thought it would do. Knight goes in.
In danger here. Xiaohu flashes the dredge line, stays alive.
He's safe for now. He still has his ultimate, hasn't used that this game just yet. He's brought the Ghost as well. He isn't running that teleport, which means that he's better in the individual fights. He's playing from mid lane rather than top lane. Even from top lane, you take yourself normally a combat summoner. On doesn't have flash. He needs to be careful here. Way's behind him, but he's quite far away.
Oh boy, gets away with the dredge line. The grasping roots come on down. Should be just about okay. The plants block up the javelin toss, and BLG walk in and finally secure this fish.
Yeah, so that's a nice, I guess, just flash away from Xiaohu in the grand scheme of things. On now has his flashback as well, and he has his ultimate. Grub spawning up in a minute, so we're now trying to see. I don't know whether there's a Scuttle Crab spawn coming through. Can't see the minimap. That is a Dragon Lodge cancelled.
Oh boy, he's in so much danger. In comes the Destiny as well to spot out everyone else. Tarzan picks that one up, and they were trying to compete in the river, and unfortunately On gets a little split and falls down, and now in the top lane, we've got some danger coming on through onto Bim. Mid lane, Wei looking for a potential dive onto Xiaohu. Flash over, but the Stranglethorns doesn't quite get the kill. Bin in danger, flashes on out to survive there. Mid lane, Xiaohu also alive.
Wei misses the E flash, and now he has no flash. He doesn't have ultimate. Here comes Light.
Gonna get the Shattering Strike. Light will ult in, dodge away from the attempt from Knight to save the jungler. Knight in danger, being slowed down. Gets to walk on out. A javelin toss has walked out from Elk as well. Get another kill. Weibo skirmishing really well so far.
And they need to with this comp, but suddenly you have a 3-kill Kai'Sa. You have a Tarzan Nidalee, which is doing work as well. And Weibo are accelerating the game in the way that we wanted them to. The first clear, it gave something, but you could see that Wei was starting to get some farm back against Tarzan. Now he's not ahead in farm. He's also failed to make his first big play of the game too. It feels like now the big saving grace for BLG is the fact that Bin is still doing absolutely fine in the individual matchup, so Breathe might struggle to have as much impact as Bin. However, even then, you've got a Gnar with no grubs to play with, which is not where this champion wants to be going into that mid game. So Weibo, it really feels like a lot of how they've played this game is still coming out in their favor.
A bit scared here as Chris flashes out from a look on in there on the dredge line. Stays alive and pulls away. Weibo resets instead of sticking around on those grubs, and BLG will secure at least one of them. Not they'll be able to stick around for any more. We're wary of a collapse on him from Weibo.
Yeah, so Weibo, now they wait until the next big opening. They have the Twisted Fate ultimate still half off cooldown, so that's quite a long time for that one to come back. But they do have themselves that first item spike. On the other side, they have that too. But Weibo are in a position where they can force that spike a lot easier in the current state. Tarzan.
Oh dear, that didn't quite work out. Could still be dangerous, but Bin's nearly at Mega Gnar, and Breed's still under the turret. Oh, it's a disaster!
Bin has just taken Breathe to task. Chris going into mid lane. Elcas Cleanse has Flash, will get away safely, but Breathe on this Renekton doesn't get the Nidalee support early, fails to combo up there, and has an absolute nightmare of a skirmish where he doesn't get the stun. Tarzan uses his spear early, and Bin walks away with an easy kill in the 1v2.
And Knight just gets first turret off the back of this as well. Herald taken by Way. It's all looking pretty good from there for BLG. The gold's back in their favor somehow, some way.
Yeah, they get themselves that that first tower of the game, which gives them the first break bonus. That'll be a large part of where that comes through, and it means that suddenly the solo lanes of BLG are really happy with the gold they've been given.
Yes, they are, and it was looking great for Weibo Gaming on screen at least, but some of these side lane issues have proven a little bit interesting. We'll have a look at this replay. I think it's going to be a bit of a disaster class.
Yeah, because Breed does get himself the flash slice. He should have realistically pressed the ult first. If you ult then flash E, then you get a little bit more rage. Tarzan wastes his spear as well. Maybe thinks he can just straight up hit it, but he doesn't end up doing so, and Bin just massively outplays.
Yeah, gets the Mega Gnar. Breathe doesn't drop aggro, means the turret shots assist, and the Renekton goes down, and now a 1.1k gold lane for the Gnar.
In fairness to Breathe, he did drop aggro. Bin just brought him back into it.
Yeah.
That's a little bit of a difference there, but it's like, well, I have a displacement, let's bring you back, and now he's got to crunch against the wall.
What a gold card onto a minion means Xiao, who's got nowhere to go, the Stranglethorn secure the kill.
And Xiao, who had no flash, even if he plays that out well, he's just in the wrong position. Elk into the mid lane turret, happy to wave clear, and suddenly Weibo, they have this composition which wants to be ahead of the game. They are not afforded that many mistakes. They have now made those mistakes. BLG are ahead of them. Bin does have himself that side lane advantage. That's going to be a rough matchup now for Breathe for the rest of the game. You're now behind over 1,000 gold. This Renekton needs to be ahead, and I wonder whether Weibo didn't really respect the fact that because they were pathing bot lane early, they wouldn't really set up that Renekton for success. Suddenly now BLG, they break open the side lanes, they put a Herald into mid lane. That'll be a threat now if Weibo wants to roam this TF elsewhere, or if Light wants to be on the roam since he's the one on wave clear duty there for now. BLG, they've stabilized magnificently in the last few minutes.
I think they've now actually managed to earn themselves a fairly notable lead. Both of their solo laners up 1,000 gold. The fact that Knight into a TF as well, that Prince Money literally is ahead as far as he is great news for BLG, and now their side lanes get pretty scary. And when you've got the Jhin Nautilus potentially looking to throw down some ultimates from mid lane to support a side lane, it can get a lot trickier for Weibo to do what they want to do, which is bring the Nidalee, bring the Kai'Sa to whichever side lane they deign fit to try and snowball from there.
So, the game plan is as such for Weibo now. Help us, Light, please! Please, Light, help! You have 3 kills! So, it's basically on Light. As we've seen before, can he combo up here? That's the gold card.
Oh, that's not bad. Gets the ultimate on in. Huge damage on Elk, who gets the flash on out. Depth Charge comes on through. They secure the kill on the Jhin. Bin is slowed down, cannot get onto the Kai'Sa. The teleport now coming on through. Chris backing away. Knight has also come in with the teleport and finds Tarzan, who immediately gets a big chunk. Flash on out from the Q3 of the Mortal Steel. And they prevent any kills back.
It's 1-for-1, all things said and done. Xiao who dies in the attempt, so it is going to be even. And then what did we say about making these mistakes and this mid lane being low from the Herald? It's so easy to take it beyond that point. Light disengages from the play. I wonder whether he could have stuck around a little longer knowing that Tarzan was on the bot side of the fight, but he has that flash. He wants to hold on to that, I suppose. He's now in threat of being collapsed on. He has now very much overstayed. Chris coming down, though, and maybe the teleport's prove as a liar.
They had the additional teleport because they didn't bring Breed on the other side. Fate still prevents Tarzan getting in, but now On has to go over the wall to stay alive.
Yeah, but now Breeds uses only teleport as well, so Weibo, they did have that extra global available.
Ow.
Breeze, low HP, suddenly he's going to have to recall. He teleports in and immediately has to exit stage left. Light is saved, and his flash is still available too, so he's happy with his own position in the game. It is now a continuation of Help Us, Light. This was the entire game plan of Weibo in 2023, in case you missed that year. It was, everyone's going to have a happy time flipping the game backwards and forwards. Maybe the Shah would have a great game, maybe he'd have an awful one, but then when it came to the late game, Light would sigh, pick up the backpack, and then try and do some carrying. He can do that again now, 3-0-1. We haven't seen that as much from him in summer. It starts off with him getting hit by a trap and almost burst out, goes to half HP just from stepping over that trap and a bit of the shift damage. Elk does end up dying because Shahu gets auto attacks on target, but he's gone too deep at the same time. Light can't really stick around at this point though, and it just means that BLG get themselves a free turret after it.
They do, and they turn both teleports to make it happen. Light then try to go bot lane and shove out that way. It doesn't really happen, so well, they get Elk, and they do get some key summoners off him, and it's again, Light's in a great position. Has to do a lot of work here from a relatively tricky position, particularly in terms of map state. Still no turrets for Weibo Gaming. Breathe might finally claim that one in top lane, but BLG have moved up as 3 towards this inner turret to support Bin getting a chunk on down there.
Yeah, so now if they can break him out to this own... Yeah, this is a big mistake by Elk. Big mistake. He's got to live here. And he dies, and suddenly that means no wave clear for mid lane turret. BLG are up in gold, or were up in gold, because they had that turret advantage. Knight might try and get an ult to try and keep this turret alive. He can't manage it, and Show's gold carded him.
They get the bolo up afterwards. He's melted. That's a huge kill. Light gets that one. They can look for a tier 2 after.
Yeah, Weibo proving that Knight pieces only move in L's. He goes down in a really strange series of events. I think he just overextends trying to wave clear in that mid lane, and it's now suddenly dead Knight, dead Elk on the Baron. While Weibo are feeling it, they want to go towards the Baron. BLG, do they even know this is happening? I don't think they do. They're moving over now, but they need to be quick. They don't have a teleport on Bin. They don't have Knight. They don't have Elk. This is going to have to be a 2v4.
There we go. Baron is down, and while they've had the Knight piece move in L's, they've got a Light piece moving in W's. There's another kill for the AD carry of Weibo Gaming. They'll trade one back. Bin will get the inhibitor turret at least. But Weibo Gaming find themselves a monumental sequence of plays in mid lane.
Yeah, they take the W in their name very seriously in this game as they get themselves a huge series of plays. That mid lane push, punishing with the gold card. I have to say, most of the time, it's a problem when TF dies for the engage. In this game, I do not mind Xiaohu in those moments saying, look, I'm dying for the gold card, because they're getting more off of his death and the CC he provides than BLG are managing to get beyond that point. You can see that Light being given that easy access in is now 3,000 gold ahead. I think Xiaohu, we've had a lot of criticism over the last year. I think he has come back into form. This game's not been perfect from him, and I think that maybe sometimes he should have survived a bit more. But by him realizing that he is not the primary carry, but he can enable Light as that, it has changed the game. BLG coming back out onto the map, trying to stymie that Baron push. Dragon is available. Weibo, I would almost like them to see them drop this Dragon to make sure that they can get better Baron push.
Yeah, and Tarzan hopped to the back of the pit, used the Dragon as a body blocker, and then said, yeah, no, I'm not sure I really want this. Lights around. Quite at that third item yet, but still has a bit of AP in the back pocket. I'm not sure if that's quite enough for the W upgrade. Forgive me, I'm not certain on the break point if the Fiendish Codex and the Blasting One does it. Turns the back of the pit. Way is still there. He can certainly be a Nymaera. Gets the Grasping Roots into the W afterwards, but Tarzan should be able to pounce on out of the back of the pit.
Yeah, so it's not going to be a Dragon Steel. Weibo pushing in the sidelines while this is happening. Light does have the AP upgrade. I actually wasn't quite sure either at that point, but you can see with the W hitting with the 3 stacks, that's how you know. It's Xiaohu getting this free time to split push from top 10. And Weibo, they have made this mistake before where they have gone for Dragons too heavily and they've denied their own Baron push. I'm glad they don't do that here. BLG, they're taking them seriously. They're saying if we turn up towards that Dragon and we don't have good setups, BLG could still team fight us. Let's not give them that option. We have the Baron already. May as well use it for what it's worth. And Weibo now find themselves a 3,000 gold lead. It's not the biggest gold lead, but the fact that they managed to claw that out in the last few minutes is huge. And the fact that that gold lead is all on a Kai'Sa, on Light, who hasn't really been the primary carry recently. He's been kind of taking a back seat, but now has the chance to show that again, is good news for Weibo.
Yeah, I'm also looking at a point now where what was supposed to be a comp about attacking side lanes with Nidalee and TF instead they're just turning to collapse on Elk, because this Jhin, particularly when he doesn't have the cleanse or the flash, is so vulnerable to the gold card and Kai'Sa combo. The Jhin cannot farm safely alone in a lane, and when BLG are split apart trying to deal with some of these side laners, the option from Weibo to instead collapse mid has proved pretty scary, especially if teleported down to respond.
And now you can see that, you know, Xiaohu is completely enveloped with that cloak of fog of war. He can move wherever he wants on his side of the map. He has the tier 2 ultimate, which means it's longer range and it's lower cooldown, which means that BLG, they don't know where he's coming from. When you start playing against a TF mid, was always the case back with Twisted Fate mid lane, which is, of course, the classic role for that champion. I'm so surprised to see him in top lane still after all this time. You need to ward out his initial jump-off point to spot which side of the map he's going towards. They don't have that information. He's pushing out mid lane now. He will be on wards right now, but only once he enters your side of the map, and that is not how you want it to happen. BLG struggling to wave clear across the map, and that's the gold card!
That's what we're talking about. Elk immediately has to flash, cleanse away, stays alive. Knight will start heading on forward to Grassy Roots. Come on down on the Crisp, who's now in danger. Knocked up by the enemy. The Dragon Knight afterwards lands onto Xiaohu. He's in danger. Teleport behind from Bin, who's a Mega Gnar, but they already murdered two! Renekton and Kai'Sa claim the massive kills. Stun onto Bin. Mega Gnar's timing out, and instead it's just a small primordial Yordle in a dangerous position. The gold card comes on through. Ferromancy crash down. And another kill comes on through, and BLG lose 3, lose the base, and can Knight and Elk hold on to anything else?
I don't know whether this is going to be more than an inhib, we shall see. Folks, if you saw Weibo go from World Finals to the bottom of the LPL, let us introduce you to this team again. Weibo Gaming, consistently inconsistent. They might have had a rough year, but they can beat any goddamn team in the world on their day. They are smashing BLG here. BLG have mounted some decent defenses at times, but Weibo have just continued pulling the trigger. Gold card into the Kai'Sa, flying in, even without that single target Q, nearly takes down Elk with the passive after that point. Yeah, it looks quite deceptive at that point, but really huge damage. And yes, Xiaohu gets caught before the end of this, but Light still gets the free hit, and that is such a huge issue.
Yeah, and then the W just catches out on, and then the Q afterwards is good, and then Ben, who was looking for the flank, was a known quantity because Destiny Gate invalidates your vision, and then he has to run away as many.
You know, a lot of this game, I was wondering about, can Bin carry this game, because he has a good lane matchup versus the Renekton with no Nidalee in his lane early. Surely that's good for Bin, who's really good at playing out that Gnar versus Renekton matchup, and he's been fine on an individual level. He's just not been able to bring it across the map, and looking at the body language of Weibo's players, looking at how Tarzan continually jumping forwards, how Xiaohu continually throwing his own life into risk to get a gold card, it means that this gameplay has been a little fast and loose at points from Weibo, where they have sometimes overestimated themselves, but they have been accelerating the game time after time. They're playing around their globals, where they're playing across the whole breadth of the maps. There's no safe space for BLG. They're trying to find themselves some pockets here, but it's so hard to play through this when Elk can't do anything from this far behind. The Jhin has been functionally useless.
On's actually gone first item Mikhail's here rather than anything like the Warmog, which you've seen from a lot of our tank engaged supports, because he needs to be able to manage that pick CC onto particularly Elk. He's been under continual threat, and if the cleanse is ever down, and it's down right now, it's so hard to survive. The problem is we're starting to hit a point where maybe this could be the turnaround. Never mind. Using on item builds, Crisp gets to crash away. The fourth shot comes on through, chunks out Tarzan, won't quite get the kill. The Dredge Line lollipops to secure Crisp's death. This would be sole point if BLG can secure it. They have got the additional member. Big moment there for BLG.
They're going towards Baron instead. They want themselves something well, now they're roaming and R-ing. They were heading towards it at first. They do have that Zyra. There is some vision in the river, so Weibo, they can walk up with a bit of safety. Light still has flash, still has ult, and it's only Crisp who's down, so it's not like Breathe can't play some frontline duty himself. BLG, they're a little bit slow to the punch here. BLG get themselves a recall for On, and Weibo, they give up the dragon, noticing that they can't really walk into bot side river, but they can claim some vision back in top side here. They might even be able to force this down. TFL's been used to spot out BLG. They are not going to be here at the start of the Baron. This is going to evaporate. They have a Kai'Sa.
Knight's TPing in is now here. We'll be able to blast cone over if they can make it happen. We'll try and look for the steal. Doesn't quite happen. is in the pit, but of course it's just a mid laner. Baron secured in trade for that soul point on, now being attacked by Tarzan. Gold card on the backline, here comes the rest of BLG, but down goes the Nautilus. They trade out onto Xiaohu, but in comes Light with that killer instinct into the backline. A W flies across, the pounce and the swipes and a takedown secures Zyra. It turns out Cougar's a vegetarian after all.
And Weibo, they find themselves the light they need in this game to light their path to victory. Weibo get themselves that Baron, and BLG, they give a good fight around the double objective spawn. You can see that Tarzan's getting harassed by Bin, but all Tarzan is doing, stopping Bin from wave clear, backing in the base. It's going to be another inhib down at minimum. With the Baron buff, this could be even a potential for pushing in with super minions from that mid lane. BLG, they do have respawns coming through, so it shouldn't be the end of the game.
Flash on out from that one. Tarzan engaged with the deadly flourish is wide, but we can still look for the fourth shots. Missing one. Will hit the look. He's still hit the fourth. Where's he going to be? Body blocked by Crisp. Can't make it happen. And he stays alive. Hand to Flash, but gets on out. Bin also burned it to escape from Crisp's crash down. Everyone stays alive. Bin now back in mini. Needs to be a bit afraid. Does fear lands.
Oh no.
Allows the increased bounce range. Has a Starix, but the Cougar keeps hunting. Gold can with Azonius to stay alive. Crisp is forced to secure it, but the Gnar is dead.
Yeah, welcome to the modern era of predators, you prehistoric yordle. Bin goes down into mini Gnar form. Tarzan, with a bit of help from his metal horse riding companion, gets himself that kill in the 2v1, and suddenly Bin was denied from that base so long that Weibo managed to stop any sort of wave play coming through. BLG really struggling to stop Weibo from getting fights in their own way. Gonna teleport into the enemy base. Breathe is teleporting into the base for a flank.
He is, and everyone else is in so much danger. On Mikhails himself and falls down. Magnustorm is there, fate sealed. Will not stop Light careening into the back line. He is the freight train at the end of the tunnel, and the night meets the rest of the modern age. Welcome to the LPL. BLG being wrecked by Weibo in this late game.
Yeah, it feels like plate armor on a night. It feels a little bit obsolete when you've got space guns on Light firing down on a broadside. BLG, they have been comprehensively out-accelerated, out-team fought, out-macroed, and beaten to the punch by the consistently inconsistent kings of the LPL. Weibo taking game one.
What a game it was. They came to play. Was a little bit interesting in the mid game. We got worried about those solo laners getting ahead, about the Gnar being ahead of the Renekton, Knight getting 1,000 gold ahead on the Yone, and then suddenly Light and Xiaohu suddenly start pouncing on Elk every opportunity.
And folks, welcome back. Hello, my name's Nymaera, also known as Alex. This is my brother. He's Sam, also known as Initialise. And I need to actually take a drink real quick. My voice has not been great in the last day or two, but we hope you're enjoying the show. There is no official LPL broadcast on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. In case you haven't heard us speaking about that on the stream here before, we have co-streaming rights. We are professional casters, so we thought we'd give you a chance to experience the games which are not normally broadcast in English every day here in a more formal setting. No one else is doing this every single day. You'll see some people doing it every so often. There are co-streamers who take it a bit more chill, but we thought we'd do this. We've done now 150 odd games here. They're on the YouTube, they're on the Twitch collection as well. We're streaming over Twitch on YouTube as well if you have a preferred platform. If you enjoy what we do, please drop us a follow, a like, a subscribe, whatever you can do on our socials. It means an awful lot. Let people know that we're doing this, because it feels like once we don't have these broadcasts in half the week, it feels like they could just be lost to time. So help us save these games as well, and we hope you're enjoying it.
Yeah, exactly that. It's been cool stuff, and that was a fun first game as well. I was hoping this would deliver.
I'm sorry I stole the Nexus call, but I know I saw that.
Cool
no, Sam, you always have something cool planned. Sometimes I do too. And also I was in midway through